everyone that's tuning in, welcome to the Dream is in Your Hands Educational Youth Conference, dropping jewels on the next generation. My name is Mercedes, and today on a marketing branding panel, I will be speaking with Walisa Bennett from Los Angeles, Amy Sciarretto from New Jersey, and Tani Yesha Diaz from Columbus, Ohio, about releasing your imagination. Amy turns her passions into results. She is the owner of Adam Splitter PR, where she creates creative PR campaigns for Roadrunner Records, Nickelback, Theory of a Dead Man, Slipknot, Meatloaf, Killswitch Engage, and many more. She is also a voter for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Walisa is a true Black girl magic. She is the founder of WRB Public Relations, and she's worked with top clients such as Nene Leakes, Isaiah Washington, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and Lunel, to name a few. In February 2020, Walisa was recognized at City Hall as a part of Black History Month by the Office of LA City Councilman President Herb Wesson. Tani knows how to release her imagination and create magic. She worked on Ciroc and Delegating branding projects such as the Ciroc French Vanilla commercial, Nickelodeon as production manager, and worked with Combs Enterprises as a digital marketing producer. She's also the founder of Visions of Yesha. Ladies, welcome to the conference.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having us.
Of
Hello.
course. We're
Hi.
honored to have you.
We're happy to be here.
I'm happy that you all are here. This is amazing. So let's get started. What qualities does it take to expand a client's vision creatively? I guess I could pick for you, or whoever wants to go can go.
I think for me, first of all, I think you have to identify what type of professional you are. You know, for me as a public relations person, I consider myself a very creative person where there are other people who are more tacticians, who, go by the book or whatever. So I think what's really important, if you decide like what type of professional you are and how you approach your job. And I give the idea of the game of basketball. Everybody knows the rules and the game of basketball, but players play it a different way. So I think it's really important that you tell your client how you play the game so they can understand. I call it your method to your madness. I think that's really important because, I talk to clients and I say, I want you to, I'm a very creative person. I approach the job in a very creative manner. So I'm going to come up with these type of ideas as opposed to, can we have a PR plan and see all your thoughts? Like, see, I'm not that person. I'll give you a basic, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to do talking points. I'm going to write a bio, but when you're creative, it's in the moment of when you start the work. So at least that's how I approach my job.
Amy, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I'd like to expand. Like, I agree. I'm the same way. Especially the part about, I don't want to do a cut and paste cookie cutter by the numbers plan because every client is different and has different needs and different goals and expectations. So every plan has to be really distinct as a fingerprint. So you have to kind of hear what the client's saying, hear what they want, know what the pie in the sky stuff, the realistic stuff, the stuff to shoot for, and you might get, you might not get, but how to approach it. So you can really mix strategy and tech and being a tactician, but you have to have that creativity. You have to, you can have that goal, but you have to figure out how to get there. And that's where your creativity comes in. That's where your storytelling, because what PR people do is basically you're a storyteller, you telling your brand or your client's story and in a best way that so that the media can tell the world about it. So you have to have that creativity. I could not agree more. And when people tell me, oh, what's your plan for this? It's like, my plan is to go out there and talk to people and execute something. And I might figure that out in the moment. Exactly.
And that's the thing, you wake up or you think about it and then the idea or thought comes to your mind. And that's when you go. That's why when you're doing, new business development, they want you to do, can you do a PR strategy plan? Well, I can tell you just the game plan of PR, but like you're paying for that creativity.
Yep.
I love the energy right now. Tani, can you expand on that?
Yeah. So yeah, like just to expand on what the ladies are saying, you do have to be have to let your creative energy like really, really flow when it comes to working in branding and marketing. I don't have the PR background, but when it comes to marketing and branding, I am very, very creative. I've always been creative. I've always thought out the box, and I've always allowed myself to let that lead me before I figured out what my passion was actually is. And I landed in marketing and branding. People were like, that's kind of like unorthodox. I'm from Ohio, so people are like not used to thinking out the box. And I was just always like thinking out of the box. So I always allow my creativity to lead me. Here lately, I have been a little bit more into the analytics and coming into the strategies and plans of things, just because of like starting my own business. I kind of had to like learn that. But when it comes to working with clients in particular, I do let them know that, some of my thoughts and my processes are unorthodox. I do like to take risks. We're in a time and place where things are changing so frequently.
Agreed.
Things are always evolving,
Mhm.
and I love that because my mind is always evolving. I'm always thinking of random things. Like just kind of like they said, being upfront with your client, letting them know what your thought process is and how you flow with things. And I think that really helps me creative wise when it comes to clients, just being open and honest, and just really aligning myself with clients or companies or campaigns or anything that allow that flexibility. A lot of times people, I feel like they land into places where they aren't just for the opportunity, and it doesn't really flow. But yeah, that's how I handle it on my end.
I agree. It seems like all three of you simply came into a stage in your career and you're just like, I'm not gonna follow the same strategies everybody else did before me. I'm gonna go against the grain. Can you tell me when that specific moment happened for you? And I'm gonna like choose people randomly. Amy, go ahead.
Sure. Um, I just always felt that if you're doing something where it's paint by numbers, or
Mhm.
you're just still trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole, because not everything is going to fit for every client that you're working with. So I always would just throw ideas out in meetings and say, well, why don't we try this? And people would be like, yeah, that's really unusual or unexpected, because you just never know. And you really have nothing to lose, especially when you're like, for when we're with bands, we're starting out, bands that might have no fans at all. So anything you do is a victory. And if you try something and it doesn't work, well, that was just the trial and error. And you
Mhm.
have the luxury of time to try something else and try something else until you make it work. Because if the record label or the management is committed to this artist and getting them out there and trying to break them, you just have to really try a lot of things and see what fits. And I really believe that thinking outside the box and doing things that people don't expect is really helpful, because they're really, like I said, they're PR is like, there's no science, there's no formula. Branding, it's every, you have to come up with things that fit the exact thing that you're trying to create a story on. So whether, if you've got an artist that has a specific thing that they're doing, you're trying to help it reach its audience, so you have to know what that is going into it and who you want to reach. And then if you reach new people along the way and you're surprised, then you rethink and go, okay, how do we reach more people in this demographic? So it's really about paying attention to it and seeing what works.
And it's always like trial and error too. It's like that
Yeah,
might work, but maybe this will work with a different approach,
yeah,
and always like learning and never getting really down on yourself because it was a trial error experience, you know?
for sure.
Connie, when did that situation happen for you?
So I would say the time, the time in my life where I really got into actually like believing in myself and my
Mhm.
creativity was when I got super frustrated with I got really, really frustrated with being in positions or just kind of sitting back and letting things like flow. Like earlier in my career, I just kind of, was just happy to be in the room and not really asserting myself. So the changing point for me, the turning point for me where
Mhm.
I really let my creativity go was when I really got, started getting frustrated and just saying like, you know what, I have some really great ideas. I know, and like like Amy said, there's no wrong answer. When you think that your ideas are so out of the box that you're just like, I'm crazy, no one's ever going to go for this, and you start throwing things out and they start catching, then you're like, okay, like I'm not so crazy. Like the things that I'm thinking of are not so crazy, they're not so unorthodox, they're not impossible, no idea is impossible. So just getting into that place of just saying like, I have these ideas, they have to go somewhere. I'm not okay with just being in the room. I have to go ahead and assert myself and execute these things. When you are working in marketing, there is no, like she said, there's no science, there's no right or wrong answer. There's different things. You can be in the same industry as, say you're in the beauty industry, you can remain in the beauty industry, but everybody's doing something different because they're catering to a different target market. They're targeting a different demographic. They have a different style, a different way they want to come off. Like there's no right or wrong answer. There's no like direct science to any of this. So just, yeah, I got to that point where it was just like, I'm just going to go and see where things take me. And it's taken me really far, like really trusting my creativity and just allowing things to flow. And then also being so confident, gaining that confidence in myself to where the people around me believed in me and gave me a chance too. And that's when I really found myself in the positions to start creating like some really, really great things and being on some really, really great projects. So,
I love when that happens. Well, Lisa, can you chime in about a similar situation that happened for you? What was the turning point?
Well, the turning point for me was this year. I marked 20 years in business, which I'm really
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really excited.
Yes.
This is my 20th year in business as an entrepreneur. And I would have to say, and I came out of corporate America and then got into my own business, which that was an adjustment. I would say probably about year 5, I realized that my quirkiness, my creativity is not gonna work for everybody. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of publicists in town. And I got to the point where I was okay if a potential client wasn't a good fit to let them go, because I wanted to keep the door open for the right clients, for the right fit, for the type of work I wanted to do. And once I changed my mindset and really just said, this is a good fit for me, this is not a good fit for me, this is who I work for, this is who I don't want to work for, that's when I truly became, I feel like the boss of me.
I love it. I love it. The boss.
Definitely.
A boss of me.
Let them know.
Definitely.
I love that energy. OMG. So ladies, do you like to sell the vision, then have someone else execute it, or do you like playing both sides? We'll start with Tani.
I like to play both sides.
Ooh.
I'm a person that likes to, because I think of my creativity and my visions and my ideas as like my babies. So I kind of like want to be there for every step of the way, as much as I can. When you're working on huge projects, you can't execute everything on your own, but I really do like to be on the groundwork. Like I'm that person that will work those 18-hour days to see, what the producers are doing. Let's see what, let's see what the mood boards are looking like. Let's see, like I'm that person that I don't like to just come up with an idea and then just let other people birth it, because maybe it's a little control issue I have, but people can take your baby and turn it into something different. And when it doesn't work a certain way, they can be like, oh, Tani did that. But I'm the type of person that likes to I'll come up with the idea and I like to hand walk with my idea. And it's really exhilarating for me to just see every single process happen. Like, oh my goodness, I remember when this wardrobe malfunction happened. I remember when this certain product wasn't making it on time, and just seeing like all the back end and being a part of that every step of the way. And then seeing, the finished product, which will be like a finished commercial or a finished video or a finished, photo shoot. And you're just like, okay, yeah, like I'm that person that likes to come up with the ideas and walk through, executing a lot of parts of those, or at least closely watching a lot of those.
I don't see anything wrong with that, because you're protecting the brand. And then when the question marks come up, you know why the question marks presented themselves.
Exactly.
And then you don't have to rely on the he say, she say mess, because everybody knows that like when you play telephone, it's not always what you think or whatever it's like told to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like to see everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what's going on. Like I will always know what's going on. So if anyone has any questions, I will majority of I like to have majority of the answers. So yes.
Rightfully so, because you're protecting your brand.
Exactly.
Well, Lisa, can you chime in on that?
I think I'm more like an architect. I like to build, I like to create and to build it, but I don't like to maintain it. Like once I come up with the idea, I like to see it through. I like to build it, but then afterwards, I'm ready to pass it on and go to the next project. I mean, I birth a project. That's what I want to do. But then when they want you to be around and maintain it and do the day to day, no, I'm ready to move on to the next fun, exciting thing that I can build and birth.
Amy, do you like to play both roles, or are you just, what role would you like to play?
I think I'm kind of in the middle where I do both. Like, I need to create it, execute it, and then make sure that the follow through is there. But there's a lot of granular stuff that I'm trying to pull myself out of, and I have staff that can handle some of the day-to-day grind so that I can focus more on like business development or bringing in more clients or some bigger clients, and adding to our repertoire and continuing to grow our company. And there's just some days where I feel I'm also like the control freak, where I'm like, I just need to make sure if I do it, and I can't have that, do it myself itis, because that's why I have a great team of people who are capable, awesome, and they get things done. And sometimes it's just me being a little bit of a control freak, and I just have to let go, because you need to be focusing on the bigger picture, especially when you have really competent, awesome people taking care of the granular stuff. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that.
I'm taking medicine for do it myselfitis. Like
I know,
I'm in therapy about that.
Can you pass on your prescription, please? Because that's my issue. That is my issue.
Yeah.
But is it like the control freak, or is it just protecting the brand? Like, which is like,
I think
how do you navigate it?
Control.
I think it's control. I think it's control, and then you justify it by saying you're protecting the brand. That's what I do.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Agree that it's like protecting the brand, but not it's slightly control.
No, we are saying that it's control, but our excuse is protecting the brand.
Nailed it.
So how do you
definitely the excuse?
Yeah, how do you get comfortable delegating tasks? Because that's something I struggle with. Because I feel like unless it's me, like I feel like I can do it all, but like I'm not comfortable really like delegating tasks, because I'm just like, well, this person messes up or skips a beat. Amy, can you chime in on that?
Yeah, like I feel like I feel like at the end of the day, it's almost like an accountability and a responsibility thing, where I say, like, if I do it, I know it's going to get done, and I don't have to ask or check in about it. But I know that I work with capable, awesome people who can do big and small things, and there's certain things that they're there to do. So I need to respect and empower them as well. But I definitely, I struggle with it, because I just think, I know if I do it, I'll just check it off my list and I'll get it done. And that just goes with learning how to trust people and believe in other people, and also loosen a little bit of the accountability, because at the end of the day, it is my client and my company, but I have to trust my own ability to have great staff, and that I've trained them well, and that I've hired great people. So that's just a small business owner issue, I think, that a lot of small business owners will struggle with, because at the end of the day, it's your baby, it's your thing, and you have to just,
it's your name.
Yeah, it's your name on it. And you just have to remember that, it is still a team effort.
I agree.
I delegate when I can't do a task. Like I'm not a graphic designer. So I have like a person on my team who is a designer. He's the creative director, but and I'll give him inspiration. Normally when I'm working with other creatives, I give them that seed of inspiration, and then I allow them to interpret that inspiration the way they see fit. So, when I'm working with photographers, like I said, creative director, but normally that's when I delegate, because it's usually something I can't do, like MailChimp. Like
you're like, I'm not doing that email.
I'm not trying to do that. Let me get that.
Right. I feel like all of us at a stage where it's just like MailChimp is intern work at this stage.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like intern work or like assistant work at this stage. Yeah. So would you say marketing and branding is one of the most crucial roles within any business, and why?
Absolutely. I mean, marketing and branding is definitely one of the most important components
Mhm.
that falls under the whole PR marketing umbrella, because when you understand your brand, then everything else falls together. Everybody gets inspired from what the brand is, you know, and everybody has different inspiration. And depending on what department you work in, like I can work with someone like Tanny,
Tani.
Tani. Yeah.
Tiny. Like I can look at her creative, her brand and assets of what she's doing, and then that inspires me to tell the story from a PR standpoint. So the one plays off the other. You get
Okay.
inspiration from each other's work. It's almost like kissing cousins.
Yeah.
Not the kissing cousins.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm
It-
from the South. There are kissing cousins where I'm from.
Um, Amy, would you like to add in on that?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely, the PR and the marketing are just two arms of the same tree, which is the
Mhm.
brand, and they have to have symmetry. They have to have, synergy, symmetry, and they have to be cohesive. And they, like, what the left hand has to know what the right hand is doing, because if you put the wrong messaging out there, you don't quite understand the messaging that the brand
Right.
or the client or the artist wants out there. That can make things go off the rails really quickly. So you just have to make sure everybody's on the same page. And yes, I do believe that, the branding and the marketing, the PR is what tells your story. And
Mhm.
the story is how people find your stuff. That's
That's
how,
Yeah.
right.
what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to create a story about. The way people find it is how it's put out there. So you have to just really make sure that you're putting out there what you want to be out there.
I like the words you use, synergy and cohesiveness, because when I think about marketing and branding, I just see numbers and
Mhm.
have like to build a brand, but it's also like you have to tell a story, and then the story also has to make sense, and it also has the story has to be told to the consumers as well.
And it's
And
even things like how, like on an Instagram page, the color
Mhm.
scheme that's used, or
Yes, that's
how
also
they how
that.
they grid the pictures, or
Mhm.
how they write the captions. It could be like one sentence, or it could be really long. That's all intentional, because
Yeah.
how it reaches people.
It plays on their emotions as well. It just makes you want to
Yeah.
click. It makes you want to comment.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. There's definitely a psychology behind
Oh,
marketing.
definitely.
Like I'm directing marketing for an aesthetics company now, and I'm rebranding everything that they're doing. And it's just even the psychology behind the picture, the colors that you use,
Mhm.
like the fonts that you use, like
Mhm.
everything connects. And it's very, very important because in every single thing that you're doing, even from the times that you post, how much you post, like everything ties into a story that you're telling your demographic, and they all tie into that. They see those colors and they feel a certain way. Like, you pick certain colors that exude power or, passion or love. Like you draw people in with those things. So yeah, like they were stating that it just definitely tells a story, and PR and marketing, they definitely are very, very cohesive. They have to be cohesive. They should have very great
Mhm.
communication. For the companies that I worked for, I worked very, very closely with the communications departments or sectors of certain companies. But yeah, you just have to make sure that the story that's being put out definitely reads to your audience, is telling a story and is able to resonate with people. That's the biggest thing. You have to resonate with people. That's how you grow your base, whether you have fans or whether you have customers or you have clients. That's how you grow everything resonating with people, and every little thing that you do, from fonts to periods to commas to
No, all
to
plays a
everything
role.
that you do brings someone in and keeps people for a certain reason. Like everything, and it all has to be cohesive and yeah, brand cohesive for sure.
I definitely agree.
I just wanted to add, I think we all can agree that any project or anything that we work on, the person, place, or item or event that we're working on, they have to be sellable. That's the most,
Hmm.
for
That's
me,
true.
that's like the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, we are salespeople. And so what we are working with, is that sellable? Can I come up with a backstory? Can I come up with a story that makes sense that you can sell it to whoever you're targeting, you know, the story to? But that is really, really important, the sellability of a person, place, product, or whatever. Yes.
Also, is the same tools needed no matter the project, or is it every situation unique?
Same tools, but everybody's unique. You just have to make the adjustment.
Yeah, I would say there's some baseline things that are the same. Like no matter the client project, there's just like some baseline qualities that have to remain the same. But yeah,
What do you
everything
mean
that you
baseline
work
qualities?
on. I'm sorry.
What do you mean baseline qualities?
So I would say the way that I approach things, like just baseline, like how I plan things out, how I choose to execute things, those procedures and those procedures that the checklist that I have for those types of things, those remain the same. But there are different clients who want to be, more involved, some who want to be less involved, some who want to say, some who don't want to say, some who, want more control over their branding and how they look. There's some things that you tweak in the way that you go about your processes. But for the most part, I just say that there's like a baseline of things that I do the same, regardless of how involved, not involved, how creative, how analytic, like the job may be. It's just, that's usually how I handle things. So I feel like there's a baseline, but everything is unique. Every person's unique.
Can you test that too, Amy? Do you think every situation is different or unique?
Yeah, I do think that you have to just look at every client as DNA distinct, very unique, and you have your skills and the way you do things and the way you approach it and process it and your creativity, and you just apply it there. You can just use the tool a different way. If you're really good at one certain tactical thing, you can apply that a different way. Oh, we try it this way, or just switch it around how you use the tool set that you have. So you have to just make sure you're listening, because if you have a client that is super involved, or that is not involved enough, I work with some bands where some of them really want to do everything and others want to do limited stuff, and you have to look at it and say, well, I have one client who doesn't do a lot of press, and not doing press is as much of a strategy as doing every interview that comes your way. So it's just a matter of knowing what makes sense for that artist. And sometimes that mystique of having an artist not be available for press, that mystique makes them even more desirable because they're perceived as ungettable. So it's about how you spin it and how you put it out there. So it has to be what fits for the client, what they're trying to achieve, what their goals are and what their expectations are, and how they're trying to present themselves and how they want to be envisioned.
I feel like all three of you took me to college. I'm learning so much about branding and
All
marketing.
that experience.
I feel like now I could jump into this field, but now we do have a question from a student, and he would like to know, what is the best way to get your foot in the door and make a company believe in you? We're gonna start with Amy this time, because
Sure.
yeah.
I'll keep it short too.
Yeah.
Basically, I always tell people intern.
Okay.
That's real world experience. You get out there, and I've had tons and tons of interns over the years, and I always throw them in the deep end because they're going to sink or swim. Because I look at it this way: they are paying to be there for those credits. They are paying for their work experience. I need to, and they're a college student, so I want to make that so valuable for them and give them that real world experience, because they're technically paying to be there. So I want them to actually do real work and learn and get their hands dirty and sit in on things and talk to people and absorb as much as they can. So I believe interning is really the thing you need to do. Get some experience while you're in college, start early, do multiple internships if you can, because that is a resume builder, and you will come out of your situation with more experience and a lot of talking points that are attractive to an employer.
Beautiful.
I would also say do informational interviews as well, because that really helps you pinpoint exactly what you think you might like to do. Like coming out of college, I want to do everything, and so by me having informational interviews with various professionals, it really helped me to kind of pinpoint exactly what I wanted to do and what my career path would be.
I definitely agree. I don't see any wrong in that. Like, that's something I didn't learn either. I was taught the Amy route: do as many internships as you can, talk to the employer, show them that you're qualified. But I wasn't taught that route by Lisa at all.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I would
that
have
was
that
very
around.
pivotal for me.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Tanya, what about you?
For me, what I did was I just researched a lot. I just started getting, like I said, once I started gaining confidence in my creativity and kind of what I wanted to do, I kind of started researching a lot about what I could do with it, different jobs that, just researching what my skill sets were and my passions were and seeing what jobs came out there. And then I this is something that I did.
The three
I
I.
would look people up and I would email them and I would
Of
connect
course.
with them and
Of course.
try to build any type of relationships. So many people are so willing to just answer a few questions here and there. So I guess it's like why Lisa's like informational interviewing. But I just was like, I'm going to email everybody. I'm going to stalk you on LinkedIn. Someone's going to answer. And that's how I made a lot of the connections that I did, especially when I moved to Los Angeles. I just was, really just out there and just really social and just was just not afraid to take any chances and not afraid to, and I was never above any opportunity that was given to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to learn something from it. I'm going to meet some people in it. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be the best that I can at it. And people notice that when you work hard, people notice. Like people would, a lot of the opportunities that I got were from people who told someone about me. I didn't even actually apply or, it's just whatever room you're in, be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And always work hard. I don't care if you are the receptionist, you answer those phones like no one else can answer the phone. The people notice those things and people take eye of that. And I think people take for granted that when they're in certain positions, it's not where they want to be at yet and they don't work as hard, but you have to work hard in every single chance you got. So I'm unorthodox. I will cold call, cold email, and do things like that to just receive opportunities. And from there, when you're around a lot of things, I didn't initially start off in marketing. I wanted to be a writer, and I just was around some people and I got exposed to that world, and I was just like, it opened my eyes to it and it took off from there. So I would just say, yeah, just do your research, see what you want to do, never be afraid of taking any opportunity, and definitely work hard at whatever you're doing, anything that you're doing, even if it's not what you want to do yet.
Right.
All three of your responses were right on point. As you know, the dream is in your hands. What exactly does that mean to each and every one of you? We'll start with Lisa.
The dream is in your hands. Absolutely. I was always taught, even from a very young girl, to dream big, dream for the stars. You might catch the moon on the way down, but dream big. So I was very fortunate to be in a home where I was given tons of support. And not only that, they poured a lot of love and support in me, but they expected me to excel. So, I had the responsibility because of everything that was being poured in me, but I also realized that that was a luxury that I also had because so many children and people come from different homes. It wasn't until I went away to college that I realized that, some people are raised by animals. I mean, I thought sometimes you think, my mom was bad because she punished me by, put me in timeout or whatever. But there are some people who really were raised by wolves and had really hardships. So I would say, I was very fortunate to be in a family and in a home that was very supportive and very loving, that allowed me the audacity to dream big.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Amy?
I always say, I'm always been inspired by this movie Little Miss Sunshine, because I feel like there's a line in that movie that I believe is really important to apply to your life. And I was always like this. I knew what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I knew I wanted to work in music. I knew I wanted to be the person backstage with the clipboard and the headset, putting the pieces in place, because I couldn't be the person on the stage because I didn't have that kind of talent. I didn't aspire to be an artist. And I learned quickly that, if I did what I loved and just kept it's saying yes to every opportunity, I would be able to do what I love all the time. And I would never have to be like a lot of my friends that go out to happy hour because they hate their job and therefore hate a lot of their lives. I never feel that way. Yeah, my job sometimes takes me till 11 o'clock at night most days, but I love what I do. I don't want to do anything else. And they say in Little Miss
And it
Sunshine,
doesn't feel like work.
no, it doesn't. And they say, love what you do, F the rest. And I believe that that's how I treat my job. I love what I do. Nothing else matters. So, and
Right.
that's when you love what you do, you're happy a large percentage of your day. And I know not everybody can do that, but you can if you put your mind to it and you work for it, you'll get there. And it's just like as everybody said, just keep taking any opportunity put in front of you. Make nothing too small. If you're answering phones, my last thing I'll say is that my first part-time employee, my first assistant, she acted like she was working at Google or Apple or Microsoft. She treated it so seriously. And I said, that is what made her so valuable, is that she treated it like she was working for Google at a top level position. And it's, if you're an intern and you're answering phones or you're making copies and you treat it like that, people will definitely pay attention. So always put 100% no matter what you're doing.
I agree.
And that's a character thing.
I agree. And lastly, Connie, the dream is in your hands. What does that mean to you?
Dream big. To me, that means that nothing is out of reach. To me, I've always had big dreams. I've always had big goals. Even though I didn't have a clear path on how to get them, I knew that I would achieve them. I do believe it is in our hands, because although things may happen, unforeseen things may happen, at the end of the day, if you're doing everything in your power and you have that clear cut goal of what you're trying to reach, you will land somewhere in that area. Even if you may land right on it, or you'll land somewhere in that area if you just keep at it. No dream is too big. I don't believe that any dream is too big. And also, never let anybody tell you that your dream is too big. Don't let anybody tell you that your dream is too big, because it's not. You're able to achieve whatever it is that you want. Nothing is out of reach. And as long as you're doing everything in your power to make sure you're moving forward to that dream, you'll achieve it. So that's what it means to me.
Very quickly, can you all send out very quickly? Can you please share your social media? Amy, we'll start with you.
Do you want me to just tell you what my Instagram is? Is
Yeah,
that's
you do
my
Instagram.
Yeah, my Instagram is very simple. It's Retto, RETTO 777. Please feel free to follow me. There's a lot of dog pictures on there though.
What is your Instagram? Tani?
Oh, Tani. Mine is Yesha Diaz at YESHADAIS. Sorry.
And Walisa, what is your Instagram?
Walisa Bennett on all platforms, because after all, when you're gonna bump into another Walisa Bennett?
It was a pleasure to have you all on this panel. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Follow me on Instagram at Sadie Ortiz, CEDSORTIZ, and make sure you are following Create the Dream Co. on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. That's Create the Dream CO. And please use a hashtag Dream Confidence 2021. Keep it locked for the next segment. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks for
having us on. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.